One of the objectives for my research area is to geospatially represent oral and environmental knowledge of, okay, of First Nations communities, particularly in the northern part of Manitoba. So last year, it was my first year in the master's program, so I got to think about what I'm going to use when I go up north to collect information. And early last year, I was fortunate enough to attend ESRI conference, and there was a very nice presentation about collector. And when the guy said, "Oh, you can use it offline, by the way," I was sold out. And I said, okay, I have to look into this app and try to play around with it before I start collecting my data. So my presentation is going to be about ArcGIS and my experience, and some info about the difficulties and what I would like to improve in it for when I start collecting the data, I don't have any glitches, and I would like also your input in that too. So let's start. So the device that I use my phone. I have a smartphone, and I downloaded the app on it. And as you know, when you use your smartphone in the field to collect data, it's quite challenging regarding to find the location, to identify and be accurate in finding the location of the user. So Collector is an app which is aware of the location, so uses the location, the GPS, to find and identify your positioning, and how the app itself uses to identify and lock that location. So it uses in the smartphone, it uses the GPS receiver that it's installed on the phone. So it connects with the satellite systems and reads those signals. And another way is combined to the GPS receiver, it uses your cellular device and data. So it connects with the tower ranges and also uses a Wi-Fi system. So if you are within the tower range, you don't have any problem, and because mostly you are within the urban center and urban areas, so you don't have any problem to find your location, and you're quite happy, and the app works very, very good. There's no problem, nothing at all. But once you go out from the range of the cell towers, that's when the problem starts, because you're out in the rural areas and the remote areas where the cellular power is very limited, and you start to be very happy. So taking in consideration these two things, so I started to start looking into my device. So the first thing that I did, I checked my smartphone GPS receiver to see how strong it is and what I have installed, and also the overall coverage of the network provider in the locations that we were going to visit. So I have a Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini, and the locations, the positioning are identified on the phone by three systems: by the GPS receiver, which is integrated in the phone itself, so it determines the location, time, velocity, and gathers this information from the satellites. And we have the assisted GPS too, which is installed on the phone, and this helps to speed up the signals that the GPS is collecting. But this particular feature kicks in when you have a data connection, so you have to be within the cell power range. And then it also has the GLONASS, which helps to provide more availability of satellites, and the accuracy, it's 2 meters. And also fix the positions it helps to fix the positions very quickly. So I was very happy with it. So I said, okay, I have the best tree installed on my phone, so I'm going to be fine. And then I looked on the data network. And I'm with Fido, have a data plan with Fido, and they have their coverage maps online that everybody can look at. And this is for Manitoba. The light yellow is the 2G network, and the lighter, and then it goes progress to a darker orange to a very dark orange. So it goes to 2G, 3G, light, and 4G. So the areas that I was interested in is where we're going to visit in Grand Rapids. So I saw the coverage and I said, okay, so I'm going to be fine. We're going to be in that area, so shouldn't have any problems. Then we went up north. We were going to visit Thompson and even Nelson House, and a little bit further into Nelson House. And again, I saw the coverage. I thought, okay, should be fine again here. And then we went further north to Gillem, and again, the coverage was reasonable, and I was happy about it. So I checked that mark, and I had a very big smile on my face. The second step that I prepared, obviously, the data that I needed for collector, and you have to use ArcGIS, and all your data has to be contained within a geodatabase. So what I created in the geodatabase properties, a domain, basically of the structures or anything that I was going to look at. So I created a domain called development type. And then for the field type, I marked it as text. And obviously for the domain type, I did decoded values. And I created sort of a list of the structures that I was going to foresee to look into and gather information on. So again, in the geodatabase environment, I created a point feature class, and it has to have a coordinate system of the WGS 1984 web marketer, because that is the coordinate system that our catalog recognizes. So all your feature classes and even maps, they have to be in that particular coordinate system. And I created the fields, sort of the form that I'm going to fill up. So like the date, the location name in English and an indigenous name, the community that we're going to visit, and for the development type, as you see in the lower red arrow, I selected the domain which I have just created. I created also a same thing, a polygon feature class, and I did the same procedure as for the point feature class, the same exact field types, everything. And as the earlier presentation, we were informed that with collector you can also collect attachments like photos. So this is done in the ArcGIS again environment, but within the feature class there's sort of a properties manage, and you just tick the attachment and you are able to take photos or even attach PDFs if you want. So the next stage would be to share it and publish it. And this is, I done it in ArcMap. And to sort of facilitate the collection of data, you can symbolize the layer itself. So instead of having a drop-down list, you have sort of, you click on the point and it gives you immediately the list that you have created and just select whatever you want. So I symbolized it with several colors. Nothing big, nothing fancy, because I was just testing it. And then, in order to publish it, you need to have an organizational account. If you have a public account, it's a little bit limited, but with it works better with an organizational account. So I have an organizational account, which was provided by Cynthia in one of her workshops. So you sign in from ArcMap. And once you sign in on ArcMap, you go File, Share a Service, and you have to share it as a publish. And once you click on it, it immediately recognizes the connection, and then you have to give it a name. Once you do these steps, this surface editor window comes up, and in the capabilities you have to tick off the tile mapping feature. And this is the most important one. In the feature access window, you have to select all of that so that you will be able to create, delete, query, and the most important one is to sync. So that when you're offline and then you have services again, the app is able to sync and everything is uploaded online. So once you finish that, it's most important to have to fill up the item description. If you don't, when you publish, it gets an error and it doesn't work. I tried it and it doesn't work as efficient as you would like. So it's better to fill up all the information and then at the end you publish, and it goes to ArcGIS online. So I was again happy with it. So the next step was to go on the ArcGIS online account to create the map that will be used for collector. So basically you go and create a map, and since the layers are published online, when you click on the list of layers, so they are shown immediately, you just have to click it, save it, and give it a name, or you go on the details of the map to check that everything is properly checked and it's going to work perfectly. So again, that step was done, and I was very happy with it. The last step was to obviously install Collector on my phone. So once you install it, you have that nice icon. And when you click it, this is the intro page. You have to sign in. You have to sign into your organizational account in order to work. They have sort of a trial period, but you can use that to sort of play around. But if you, once you enter in your organizational account, it immediately recognizes the apps that you have created for Collector, which is very good. And on the top part, you can search for the maps that you have online or the maps that you have created on your device. And those three little dots are more settings, like you can, instead of tapping, you can use it to open the map that you have to work on. And obviously they have created a search feature on the bottom part of the app. And once you click on the map, so this sort of your workspace, and then on the lower part, those are the tools that are used to map. So if we start from the left-hand side, that's the GPS. So if you switch it on and off. If it's off, you don't see your location. If it's on, you see your location. And the plus sign is used to where you start collecting your information. You click on it and you start basically. And obviously they also created another search, so they can search addresses and anything that you would like to search. And these are the bookmarks. You can create, as if you're familiar with ArcGIS Online, you can create bookmarks in your map. So if you have a particular area that you want to zoom in instead of scrolling or whatnot with your fingers, you just click on that bookmark, they have the name, and you're there immediately. So once you do click on the plus size, this is sort of the interface that I have. So it's the form, so you fill up the information that you want to fill up, and the GPS location. The location can be indicated in two methods. So on your left bottom part, that is the GPS. It can you can use that to sort of collect your current position. So if you're here and you want your current position, you can click on that and it will show you it collects that current position. But there's another way too. If you, for example, you're a little bit study area, or you're looking at an area which is a little bit further than you can use the map itself to sort of pinpoint the location that you want. And this, again, on the lower part of the app, that's the attachments. It's where you can take photos and provide any PDFs if you want. And so those are mainly the main features that you can attach. And these are further settings, and these settings are particular with the accuracy of the GPS, as also was mentioned in the previous presentation. You can also select your accuracy, and it gives you also the signal, the frequency. You can set also the frequency of the signal of the GPS receiver with the satellites, so that you can refresh frequently. And once you're done, you sort of hit the OK button on the top left-hand part. So I tried it, and again, I had a big smile on myself. I said, okay, this is going to work. I'm going to be fine, and no worries at all. So I was excited. So the journey started from Winnipeg, and all the way through, I was very happy. Sorry about that. I'm not sure why it's not. And so I tested out throughout our way to Grand Rapids, and it was working fine. And when we arrived at Grand Rapids, we stayed there, and I collected some information, and I was starting to having some difficulties with the app, and sort of my smile was lowering a little bit. Then we went to Townsend and Nelson House, and that's when everything was not working as I expected at all. So yes, and at the end of it, I was very concerned about the performance of the app itself when we spent a couple of days in Killam. So the next part is going to be providing you some challenges that I had. So the first major challenge was the battery life. And these are some specifications of the battery life in the Samsung Galaxy S4 Mini, which are pretty good. I never had any problems with the battery life. And so it has quite a long life, and I don't charge it that frequently. And but unfortunately, when I was using collector with the GPS, it drains the battery like crazy. And I was looking into it. It set up itself, the app, to use high battery life. I tried to check if there's a particular settings to at least lower that, but apparently it's written in the programming of the app itself that uses high level of battery life in your phone. So it was shortening my lifespan of my battery. And another thing that I noticed also, that when the app is running or in the background or standby, it was also draining the battery itself. So although I was closing from the Home tab and removing it, it's still, apparently the app runs in the background and somehow continues draining the battery life. So I was constantly charging my phone wherever I could find a socket or even in the car. So I felt that it was sort of a nuisance, because when I wanted it, especially when we were on the water, I couldn't collect information because my phone was practically dying and dead. Another major problem that I encountered is the connectivity to the network. I couldn't. When we were at Grand Rapids, it was okay, but once we started to go up north, I was losing connectivity. So I was having major problems with it. So going back to the map that of the coverage, so should be okay, but in reality, in further north, and it was not working as I thought it was going to work. So I tried to go offline, since they said, oh, you can use it offline. But unfortunately, you can sort of download, they have a download of the feature for the map, and so I tried it, but it works similar if you ever worked with SketchUp. It's when you download something from Google Earth from SketchUp, you download tiles, and this is the same structure. You download one tile, and there's no way how to, if you want, for example, to download multiple tiles, there's no feature if you want to save it in a different name. If you want to download another tile or another area, you have to delete that map so that you switch on again the download feature and you have to download again. So I hope at least they try to look into that. I saw a recent blog on it, and people were complaining why they cannot download more than one app. And apparently, the SRI person said, "Oh, if you have a lot of votes on it, we work on that feature." So if you go on it, please vote so that we will be able to download lots of features. So yeah, so that was not working for me, because basically once you download, it's just a small area. If you go on that area, outside that area, you cannot collect information. It doesn't work at all. And you lose clarity too. So I was using handheld, and remarkably enough, I don't know why, Google Maps was working much better than the collector when I did not have any data, which I cannot understand why. So sort of the one major thing also, it's crashes. I was having problems with crashing the apps and losing connectivity with the internet, so I had to sort of refresh multiple times. And even when you use it, if, for example, if you receive a text or phone, and even sometimes I was seeing if I do an attachment, like taking a photo, it was crashing. And I had to sort of refresh. It's something that it's part of the app. I saw some comments about it, and they're trying to fix it. So in conclusion, what I'm thinking to do sort of to improve my experience with Collector, obviously I'm going to buy and invest in a portable charger, which I can take on the water and like sort of connect it. And I can have, you know, I can charge my phone. I don't have that sort of limitation. This second part, this is very interesting regarding cellular and network information. I found out, I did some research, and there's sort of two open source, crowdsource apps, which they provide information regarding the coverage maps. And these are information that are being published by the public, and they are running it also with the network companies. So these provide sort of the true speed test and how strong the signal is. So these are sort of two of the apps that struck out for me, OpenSignal and Sensorily. They're all available free from the Google Play, and they provide you with maps, and you see sort of the OpenSignal, they have a map also with the towers, and you see how far you are with the towers and the coverage, how strong. So it gives you some basic information so that you know what the true coverage. I was working with version 10.4 at that time, and these were some features that they highlighted, like the high accuracy GPS receiver, which I was having trouble with, and some other updates that they did to the app. Recently, there were two updates in the app, which it seems like they made it a little bit stable. And they improved the GPS data, which is very important if you want to collect data and also compare how accurate your data is. And they integrated it with Navigator and Workforce, and they fixed obviously various bugs. So I'm looking forward to work with it. So the GPS data that they have, that they updated, is sort of that icon. You click on it and it provides you this information. And you see the fixed time, the receiver, the accuracy, the number of visible satellites. So it's nice to see if you have a good visibility and how accurate it's going to be. However, apparently with the latest, this latest update, your GPS still runs. So you see the icon flashes, it doesn't close when collector closes. So you're still draining your phone, your battery phone. So in order to sort of switch it off, you have to go on the home page on your phone and just remove your app. And it seems like it's switched off. And another thing that I noticed recently, that it was published in the GIT Hub, they created this Python script to collect the GPS data. So instead of doing manually, which you can do in the geodatabase, you can run this this script, and it seems like you can collect your GPS from your phone automatically. So I'm very curious to see how it's going to work. And it was recently published. So for the last thing, to increase the performance and even the standby and of the app on the phone, I'm going to look into the feature of packaging the tiles and see how it works. Apparently it will help also in the caching of the app itself. If you go on your settings and you look on your app, if you use your base map, the topography one, it really downloads a lot of cache memory. So it slows down your phone. But apparently with the tile packaging, it reduces that download cache. So I'm curious to see how it works. But unfortunately, so it has to be done in ArcMap, but there's no literature yet, information how they can work offline. In conclusion, I looked into some reviews for the latest version. It's Start 4.0. There's not a lot of community out there that's using our catalog right now. It's, according to Google Play, it's over 400 people. And there's mixed reviews. I've seen some of those comments. Everybody's complaining that the app is crashing too much, or it's draining the battery, or there's features that are not working. Some, and they say, you know, it works fine on your phone. So it's still mixed reviews. So that's it for my presentation, and a suggestion and advice how I can improve my experience. I would really appreciate that. Any questions, and thank you for listening.
Do you have time for maybe one question?
Sorry.
I wonder, often phones do a lot of work, use a lot of battery power when you're kind of in coverage, but not in very good coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Is the application that you're using for one that you only need the GPS, for example, every once in a while, and you could just kind of put it in airplane mode and turn GPS off, turn it on for a few minutes and off again?
The phone provides you with sort of 3 settings: high security GPS, medium, or GPS. Just collect GPS information. When sort of the GPS is when you don't have cellular range. I tried it, but the app was crashing all the time, so I couldn't use it with just the GPS information. And I was using it. I had to use it always with high accuracy GPS. In view of that, I would like if they can look into it and see if they can sort of work it out to sort of work only with the GPS rather than with the cellular information. It will help also with the flight mode, because with the flight mode you sort of switch off your data. So we'll see what the future is installed, to tell you the truth.
So it's supposed to work without the assisted
It
doesn't.
It doesn't. It's very curious. That's why I was sold in the presentation, because he said, oh no, there's not going to be any problems, you know, it's offline. And I said, okay, offline I have to have GPS. But for my experience, I was having problems using it just with GPS. So I was sort of going back to the hotel, and I was jotting out all information on papers, and I was using the handheld GPS to collect that information and sort of go to the hotel when I had the cell tower next to me or the data on. I was sort of transferring that information.